Walk back too close, you ain't even know me. Trust my brothers.
Yo, what it do? I'm back. So as you know, Happy New Year 2025. Alright, let me just pause my music. Alright guys, so as promised, today I have something for you guys. Okay, so now this is we're going to do the impossible today. Okay, so now what I'm going to show you today is I'm going to show you how to use AI to predict the thoughts and actions of any person who has undergone military training. Okay, emphasize on any person who has undergone military training. If you try this on a regular person, don't work. This will only work on those people who have undergone military training. Okay, so now before I even start showing you how to do this, just going to need two things. One thing rather, what you're going to need is this. So it's the activation prompt or the DNA of the system, of the algorithm. Okay, so you can check the link in the description so that you can be able to follow along. Okay, so let me just give you some context before we even start so that you understand how this works. So this is just a brief description of how this system works. Okay, so it's a combination of neuroscience, psychology, and mathematics. Okay, so we have three disciplines in this: neuroscience, mathematics, and psychology, and military principles, what they teach all the people who go for military training. Okay, so what we are going to do here is we are going to use the military principles, everything they teach them while they are in training. That's for military people. That is what we are going to use as the back door to get into their mind, hijack their mind. Okay, and use the very military principles they learned against them. Okay, so let me just go through this so that you guys can have context. Okay, so now as you can see here, the most important part of this algorithm is neuroscience integration. As you can see here, neuroscience integration. Okay, so now the agent uses principles of brain function to bypass the mask of military profession. Emphasis on military profession. Okay, so to bypass the mask of military professional and access their internal model of the world. Okay, so here we have under the neuroscience part of the algorithm, we have prefrontal inhibition and cognitive load. So the function of this is the infiltration strategy uses a hierarchy of irrelevant questions to overload the subject prefrontal cortex, which is the PFC. By increasing cognitive load, the system depletes the neural resources required for the subject to maintain a guarded personality, allowing the subconscious mind to seep through. Okay, so with the neuroscience techniques, as you're going to see, we are going to get into the subconscious mind of our target. Okay, and once we get into subconscious mind of the target, we are going to be able to extract some information. So now that information we're going to extract from their subconscious mind is what we're going to use when we try to make a prediction on their thoughts and actions. Okay, so let's go to the other one. So the second one is this one, which is hypothesis testing. So the system starts with a hypothesis generation phase using biological data. As you're going to see, we're going to use some biological data information about them. So this right here mimics the brain's own processing. So with the biological data we're going to use is we're going to extract. We're going to use it to mimic the brain. We're going to use it to mimic the brain's own processing using priors and predict outcomes. Okay, so now I can't really get much into detail in this because it's neuroscience. If you want, you can do a more research. I'm just giving an overview of how the algorithm is designed and how it's going to work, so that as you use it, you have more context. Okay, so we'll go to the other one, which is the semantic mapping. So semantic mapping grounded in cognitive semantics. The agent maps how the individual mentally represents concepts, e.g., for example, how they define loyalty or threat. It looks for feature lists and prepositional structures to build a network of the target's mind. So with this algorithm is we're going to build a network, or we're going to build the target's neural network, how it's structured. We're going to build it within the algorithm, and once we build that neural network of how they think, of how they process information, then we'll be able to make predictions to say, if we say this, they're going to think this. If we say this, they're going to do this. If we want them to do this, we should say this or do this. Okay, so that's the neuroscience part of it. So go to the second part, which is the psychological strategy and frameworks. Okay, so now with psychological strategy and frameworks, the agent is authorized to use an asymmetrical psychological strategy. So asymmetrical is we're going to be comparing to say, okay, based on this person's neural network structure and mapping, if we do this, the kind of neurons which are going to fire in their brain are these. So if these neurons fire, what's going to happen is this. Okay, so that's during the prediction phase or the information extraction phase, as you're going to see. Okay, meaning it doesn't treat every individual the same. Like I said, it's going to be custom to the individual. Okay, doesn't treat every individual the same. It adapts its tactics based on the subject's mental state. Okay, so under the psychological strategy and frameworks, we have cognitive psychology, which analyzes heuristics and biases of the person. And then we go to the second part. We have here social psychology, leveraging authority dynamics in group and out group mechanics. Okay, so now this is the part where we say, how does this person think if they're in a group? How does this person think if they are in? This is what we're going to predict to say, if this person is alone, they're going to think this way. If this person is in a group, they're going to think this way. So if we want to make them do this, we need to know where they are. If they're in a group with their friends, we're supposed to do this so that they do this. Okay, so that's the function of this part of the algorithm. Okay, and then the other part is behavioral economics. So using techniques like loss aversion, scarcity heuristics to force a target out of analysis paralysis. You know, there's a time when a person gets into analysis paralysis where they're trying to make a decision and it's kind of difficult for them. They don't know which one to choose. So using behavioral economics, we're going to move that person through that phase. Okay, by using techniques like loss aversion and scarcity heuristics. Okay, and then the other part of the psychological strategy and framework of our system is tactical empathy, okay, and FBI negotiation. So here the system incorporates interrogation tactics used by the FBI and police. Okay, so these are proven to work. These are the techniques the police or the FBI use to extract information from a person. Tactics like elicitation, among others. Okay, so as you can see here, we have tactical empathy strategies like labeling and mirroring to lower the subject's guard. Okay, and then here we have pragmatics. So pragmatics, it studies how the context and the speaker's intent affects meaning, which is critical for understanding us and the unspoken rules in military communications. You know, people in the military have some unspoken rules, so we are going to decode decode those unspoken and military rules in communication they learn through training. We're going to extract all that information out of the person without the person even knowing. And when we go to the prediction part or the direction part where we want to use this algorithm to make the person do certain things, they won't even know that we are the ones who are doing this. They'll think as if they have come to that decision on their own, whilst we are the ones who made them think like that and behave like that. They'll think they are autonomous, acting autonomously, whilst the whole time it's us who's making them do all those actions, have all those thoughts and everything else. They won't even know. Okay, so we're going to make them our prisoner. They're going to be a prisoner without chains. Okay, all right. So now the last part, okay, is the mathematical modeling of thought. Okay, so now in mathematics and behavioral economy of the human, of how us humans have evolved, there are only two principles that govern us as humans. When it comes to emotions, thoughts, behavior, there are only two mathematical principles. So those two mathematical principles are the ones we're going to use as a base or as the standard for calculating everything we're going to do here, because after we get the information, we're supposed to calculate that information to make a prediction. So we're going to use the fundamental mathematical principles to do that. And these principles are sigmoid, not principles, let me just say mathematical, principles or formulas. Okay, so there are two. So we have sigmoid function and softmax. So the sigmoid function here, we're going to use it for binary classification. Okay, so binary classification, which are things like, is the person lying, or multi-label profiling. Okay, are they both anxious and excited? Okay, so for such situations, we're going to use the sigmoid function mathematical principle. Okay, so this allows the system to track multiple independent emotional states at once, like I said. Okay, so go to the last one, which is the softmax function, which is used for military exclusive prediction, such as predicting the target's next move, e.g. choosing between flight or flees. This ensure a competition between options where the most likely action emerges as the winner. Okay, so this is just a quick overview of the system, of how it works. Okay, so that you have an understanding on how this works and how you're going to use it. Okay, so check the link in the description. You're going to find this. So this is the, let me just say, this is the catalyst of our system. This is what activates our system. So once you get it, you just copy and paste it, and then you come here in anti-gravity. Okay, so now there are excuse me, there are many IDEs you can use. You can use VS Code, any IDE of your choice to do this. Okay, but I prefer anti-gravity. Okay, but it doesn't mean this only works in anti-gravity. No, it can work in any IDE of your choice. Okay, so let me just restart anti-gravity, and then we can continue with our predictions. Okay, so now with this right here, after going through this process or after watching this tutorial, you'll never look at anyone who has undergone military training the same. So I would highly advise you to think twice before continuing watching this tutorial. Think twice, because after this you'll never look at any person who has undergone military training. You'll never look at them the same. Okay, you look at them as if they are, for lack of a better term, I would say you look at them as if they are rub rats, for lack of a better term. Don't quote me. All right, okay, so now that we have studied on gravity, so now what you're going to do here is you're just going to create a file. okay, like I'm doing here. Make sure this it's empty. Okay, so just going to create a file. In this file you're going to name it as gemini.md. okay, just make sure you follow everything I do as I do it. So we're going to name this file as gemini.md. okay, gemini.md. That's how you're going to name this file. It's very important that you name it this way for us to so that the algorithm instantiates without any trouble, without any hassle, right? So after you create this file, just copy and paste this, which is our the catalyst for our system. And then once you copy and paste it in here, and then let me just wait for Gemini to load. Once it loads, I'll come back and then we'll continue with activating our algorithm. All right guys, so here this is what you're going to do here. So here you're going to say, so follow what I write here. The exact same way is how you should write it, okay? Because if you don't do it the way I do it, you get completely different results from mine. Okay, so here I'm going to say instantiate my environment based on what is in gemini.md. okay, so that's what I'm going to say. Okay, so once you write it like this, just write instantiate my environment based on what's in gemini.md. okay, so once you do, just write like that, and then the system, now the algorithm will start to write itself. Okay, so this is, as you can see here, it's analyzing gemini.md. so this is the catalyst which we are going to use to build our algorithm. Okay, so now as you can see here, I understand the environment requirements. Let me set up the task, create the directory structure in Python script as defined in gemini.md. so here what it's doing is it's now writing our algorithm. Okay, so you just have to give it a few minutes, and then after a few minutes it will be done. And so once it's done, we can now start using our algorithm to make predictions. Okay, so here you just have to accept. Okay, the only thing you have to do here is accept for it to go to the next stage, because the way I designed this is there's need for human in the loop, meaning there are some stages or processes which you as a human need to approve. Okay, so this won't work on its own, it will need you to approve some things. Okay, so once it says accept, just accept all, and then everything else will be run smooth. Okay, so let's just wait for it. As you can see, here, it's writing everything. Okay, it's writing everything. It's writing the algorithm. As you can see, it has written the data, it has written the directive, execution logs, and everything else. So now this log folder, this is where the algorithm is going to store. It's going to log everything we do in here. Okay, all the predictions we make, all the thought processes, everything that happens in here, the algorithm is going to log all those things in this, so that in the future it's going to come back to this and make some cross check or background check on everything we've done and make more accurate predictions. And the good thing about this is the more you use it, the better it becomes, because the way I designed it to be self-annealing. Okay, self-annealing meaning the more you use it, the better it becomes. It's more like wine. Okay, it ages gracefully. Okay, the more you use it, the better it becomes, because it's self-annealing. So as you can see here it's created sigma.py. So sigma.py, like I said here, this is the mathematical formula we're going to use to aggregate everything and come up with a prediction, to predict the person's actions, to predict the person's emotions, and everything else we might need to predict. Okay, we are going to use this sigma here. So this sigma.py, these are the mathematical formulas which are going to be needed for us to make the predictions. Okay, all right. So as you can see, it's everything here, it's writing everything here, and once it's done, so as you can see, this is sigma.py. As you can see here, so these are the more like the scripts the algorithm is going to use in everything it does. The mathematical part, the quality part, where it needs to make some quality assessments or predictions. Okay, so as you can see, so you just need to give it some time. As you can see, so this right here works like magic. Okay, and the only downside part to this is, like I said, is that you're going to start making experiments, trying to do this, trying to do that, so which will make you stop viewing any person who has undergone military training as a person. You're going to start viewing them as like robots, because you're going to start trying different experiments to say, what if I do this, what are they going to do if I want to, you know what I mean? Yeah. So let's see, looks like it's done. Okay, so so as you can see here, so it's saying here, so here it's saying both probability calculators verified, working, ready for target profiling. Okay, so now so here it's saying ready for target profiling. So target profiling, now this is the part where we now start to extract the information. So the algorithm is going to give us the techniques and strategies to extract the information we need from who our target is. The algorithm is going to give us, it's going to give us a step by step guidance on how to do it. Okay, so here you can write, so here I'm just going to say so here I'm just going to tell you, okay, so here is the first part. Here is where you explain how close you are to the person, to the target. Are they your friend? Are they your family? Are they your co-worker? Okay, so once you tell it your relationship to this person, then it will tell you how to go about it. Are they a complete stranger? It doesn't matter, you just have to tell it who you are in relation to this person. Okay, I'm just a friend. Okay, so I'm just going to say I'm just a friend to, so here even supposed to specify the gender, are they male or they female. So as you can see here, I've written to say I'm just a friend to him, meaning our target is meaning our target is male. Okay, all right, so meaning our target is male. Okay, so now here, as you can see, it's analyzing and everything. So now it's going to tell us how to go about our strategy to extract the information we need. Okay, So as you can see, so now it's now thinking about the find subject and everything else. So now it's going to tell us what to do. Okay, so here as you can see, so it is writing the implementation plan on how to go about it. Okay, so let's open the implementation plan. Okay, so here go analyze the subject wisdom to create the psychological profile based on what and what. Okay, so new run, modify, update. Okay, so once you tell it, so so now here after you tell it you're just a friend to the person, you're going to ask to say how do I go about it to extract the information. How do I get how do I get the information to make predictions, the predictions I want to make. So that's what I'm going to tell you to say. How do I get the information needed to make the prediction. Okay, give me, so here I can give me step by step, so instructions and questions I need to ask. Okay, I need to ask, and everything else. Okay, so and everything else that's needed to make the predictions. Okay, so here I'm asking to say how do I go about it. I don't know how to go about it, so tell me how to go about it. Okay, predictions, things like time frame and everything else. Okay, so everything else. Okay, yeah, everything else that's needed to make the prediction. So here now it's now going to come up with a plan and everything else, okay, on how we're going to make the prediction. Okay, questions and everything else. Okay, so it's going to give us the questions and strategies on what to do. Okay, so now here it's saying, so as you can see it's saying I'll now create a comprehensive guide. This needs to be, so this is now its thought processing, rather how it's thinking here. Okay, so everything else here just hit accept. Okay, and then yeah, just let it do everything. So after it's done, okay, so as you can see here is the protocol guide. So here within it there is calibration, so setting the baseline, which is started with friend, extraction specific Socratic questions, to review hidden status, prediction, how to map. Okay, so let's just open this. Okay, phase 1. So here as you can see here it's saying, so starting with this, okay, So establish the relationship at baseline. So here define relationship. So it's saying, like I said, it's saying identified as a friend, so which is intimate. Okay, so focus on personal history, shared memories, and emotional baselines. So phase 2, extraction, getting the info step by step. Since you are a friend, use Socratic mapping in deep, okay, to avoid, okay, values check. So question 1, the baseline, how have you been? So this is the baseline question, as you can see. So what you're supposed to ask for them, we're supposed to ask from them. Okay, so this is here. The question is, how have you been feeling about? So this is any topic lately. Okay, look for emotional keywords. So once you ask the person to say, how are you feeling about whatever you're going to ask them, you must write down their response, because we're going to need that. Okay, we're going to need that information later. Okay, so once you ask them that question, you're supposed to write it down to say, okay, this was their response after I asked them this question. Okay, so here question 2, the values check. So here this is the we are checking for cognitive rigidity. Okay, so here the question is, what's the most important thing to you regarding situation Y? So now this situation Y, any okay, so since it's kind of more like vague, I'm going to say, give me an example of each of the questions I'm supposed to ask them. So here it's just saying situation Y. It doesn't it's a bit vague, so I'm going to say, give me. So I'm going to say, give me the examples of the questions in, so in detail. Okay, in detail. Okay, so here, how many questions has it told me? Okay, in detail. For, so here you're supposed to treat this like you're supposed to interact with it. Okay, you're not supposed to treat it as if it's just a random AI. No, you're supposed to treat it, you're supposed to interact with it. Where you are not clear, ask it to say, I'm not clear on this, how do I do it? Okay, yeah. So here I'm going to say, for example, copy. So I'm going to say, for example, so what's the most important thing to you regarding situation Y, right? That's the question. What is situation Y? Okay, what is situation Y supposed to contain? Okay, to contain. Okay, to contain, plus an example. Okay, plus an example of how situation Y looks like. Okay, that's an example of how situation Y looks like of our situation, plus an example of how situation y looks like. Okay, plus an example of how situation y looks like. Okay, so here I'm going to say you give me you tell me what I'm supposed to do, everything. You are the expert. Okay, so you tell me what to do, what to do with details. Okay, with details on how to do it, with details on how to do it, on how to do it, to do it. You are the expert. Okay, like I said, so this, the way I designed this is, it's the expert, it knows everything, it has a mind on its own. Okay, so you just tell it to say, the way I'm interacting with it is how you're supposed to interact with it. If you have an idea, you can tell it to say, I have this idea, what do you think? And then it will tell you to say, okay, this idea it can't work, it can work, and everything else. Okay, okay, I'm just, so you're the expert, so I'm just the information collector. Okay, okay, I'm just the person getting the information. Okay, I'm just the person so I'm just the person getting the information you need to make the predictions. So I'm just the person getting the information you need to make the predictions. Okay, okay, so be clear, be clear. Okay, and tell me the phases and everything else involved. Okay, and tell me the phases, so and tell me the phases, and tell me the phases and everything else. Okay, yeah, so I'm just going to tell it like this. Okay, so here, as you can see, I'm showing you that you're supposed to interact with it. Okay, just anything you think it can work, any information you think is viable, just tell it, and then it will do everything else. Okay, so here, let's just wait for it. So now, since we've told it to say, okay, you are the expert, you're supposed to tell me how to go about this, how to do this, how what, it will now come up with as you're going to see, the strategies, the phases, and everything. And then you, what you're just going to be doing is, you're just going to be the middleman. Okay, going to get the information, coming back with the information, giving that information to the AI, and then the AI checks to say, okay, this information is valid, we can go to the next step. Okay, so in the next step, the kind of information you need is this, and then the AI will tell you how to get that information after you've gotten all the information that the AI needs to make a prediction, to tell you, okay, now we've gotten all the information, we can go to the next part, which is the prediction part. Okay, so now after it goes to the prediction part, now that's why you start asking it questions like, if I want this person to think this, or if I want this person to do this, what am I supposed to say? Okay, what am I supposed to do? So now in that phase, now in the prediction phase, That's why now I start asking those questions. Okay, as you can see here, we are just in the first phase, which is the information extraction phase or profiling. We're trying to profile our target. Okay, so as you can see here, so let's just wait for it to finish writing and everything else, and then to give us the information, and then we're going to get that information, right? Sorry, the strategy on how to go about it. And then after we get that strategy, we're now going to in the field, interact with our target, come back with the information and everything else. All right, so let's just wait for it. Okay, so it looks like it's done, so let's open it. Okay, so now like I said, remember, so now that's given us now some information, not information, rather some detail on how we're going to ask those questions. Okay, so phase one, so the setup. Okay, you tell me, okay, so you need to get him to review his cognitive source. Okay, cognitive source code, values and rigidities without him knowing is being profiled. Like I said, it's going to give us the information on how we're going to profile our target. Okay, use these example scenarios to ask them like a robot. Okay, with them into normal conversation. Okay, so like I said, remember what I said, so with them into normal conversation. So it's a scenario one, the reality versus truth test. So the phase one, which is reality versus truth test, which is cognitive rigidity. So the context, we need to know if he follows rules or follows people. So here, say in your line, so here, this is what you're supposed to ask the person to say. Hey, random question, if a mutual, so this is if, so mutual friend, just name any friend, mutual friend did something kinda illegal but for a good reason, and the cops asked you about it, would you cover for them or tell the truth? Okay, so this is phase one question. So like I said, remember, so now it's giving us a detailed plan on the questions supposed to ask. So this is the question to test their reality versus truth, cognitive rigidity. Okay, so this is the first question. Okay, so here it's saying detailed situation, the cops asking why, but some friend response saying A. Okay, so here, so you don't really have to pay much attention to this. Okay, so here, so scenario 2, the scarcity test. So as you can see here, it said you're supposed to fuse in these questions just randomly. Okay, after some time you ask them the question and then you record. After some time you ask them the question and you record. So as you can see, so scenario 2, scarcity. Okay, so the context, we need to know his fighter or flight trigger. So here your line, so here this your line, it means what you are supposed to say. Okay, so here this is what you're supposed to say. So you say, man, the economy is tanking. If you lost your job tomorrow and had zero savings, what's the very first thing you would do? Okay, so that's the other question. Okay, so here scenario 3, the ego test, narcissism and openness. So here context, we need to know how he handles criticism. Okay, so here your line, so this is what you're supposed to say. So here you're supposed to say, be honest. If someone, so he is saying, if someone respected told you your biggest passion project was a waste of time, would you listen to them? Okay, so these questions, if you remember, the way it instructed us is you just supposed to ask them randomly. Maybe you can ask them one question today, the other tomorrow, just randomly, and record what they say. Okay, so here the prediction, go use the data. Okay, so here I'm going to say that's it. Those are all the questions. Or after I ask those questions, am I supposed to come back to you with their response, and then you give me the other set of questions to ask them? So let me just ask it that. Okay, so that you guys see and understand how robust the system is. Okay, so here I'm going just to say that's all. Okay, so here, as you can see, I'm interacting with the algorithm as if it was an actual person. I'm not treating it as an AI. No, I'm treating it as if it was also an actual person, which it is to some certain extent. Right, so that's all. Or after after these questions, I should come back to you. Okay, I should come back to you with their, so here I'm asking to say that's all, or I should come back to you with their responses, and then you ask me, you tell me what to do next. Okay, with their response, and then you, okay, and then you will tell me, and then you will tell me what to do next. Okay, what's the way forward? Okay, so here since it's the one which came up with the strategy and everything else, so I'm just going to ask it some questions to say, okay, how are we going to go about this? After asking them the questions, am I supposed to come back? You're going to give me some questions, or what? How are you supposed to go about it? So let me just wait for it, and then it will tell me what to do next. Okay, so this is its thought process. Okay, it's thinking, okay, like what's to do. Okay, so here let's open the protocol guide. Let's see what it's saying. Okay, where is it? Where is the protocol guide? Okay, so here it's saying, okay, so it's saying as, okay, so paste his answers for scenario X. I'll update the coded profile. Okay, we'll use the model to simulate. We cannot do this until you complete phase. So here, as you can see, So here phase 4 prediction, the period. So we use the model to simulate his future choices. We cannot do this until you complete phase 2 and 3. Once the model is trained, you can ask me, will he lend me money? Will he cheat? How do I convince him to do X? Okay, so here as you can see, ask the question, report to come back. So here it's saying how it do. So the feedback, look, the forward part. So here is report. You come back here and paste his answers. Okay, process the I. So here it's now here it's saying I. Here the system will update his psychological profile and run the math. Predict. I give you the probability scores for his future actions. Okay, so like remember what I said that you can interact with it. So I ask you to say so just those questions, are they enough to get all the information needed? So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to act as if I'm disagreeing with it. Okay, just gave me 3 questions. So are you sure they are going to give me all the information needed? Okay, so let me just ask it that.